Well, oh, we're live. We got the music going. I don't have my reading glasses. Let's use this for a second. Okay, well, yeah, welcome to the open mic. I mean, the off night. Open mic, off night. Get that? Okay, I want to go. Anyway, welcome to the off night. And read this. Okay. And we're going to have some really interesting things going on today. My magnifying glasses don't work. I'm just going to try this. Okay. All right. So anyway, we're going to have a good night. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got a great poem from our resident poet. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's just keep moving on. Let's get Mr. Mark Sweetman out here to tell us all what's going on.
All right. Oh, let me bring the music up. There we go. All right. Not as smooth as I wanted it, but wait a minute. As long as I'm here, let me find that. And that was some very, here we go. There you go. Mark Sweetman's weekly frustration with technology. Thank you very much. Running along the scroll about the bottom. That's pretty cool. All right. Welcome to the off night. The off night is now in its 5th year. Episode 210. Thank you. We have a regular cast that joins us every week, and we invite guests to come along. If you'd like to join us and you have your own camera and internet access, you use a browser. We use StreamYard. See it up there in the right-hand corner. And that's the address right there. I'll leave that up for a little bit. You may have to want to write it down with a piece of paper because sometimes it's hard to copy and grab that. And go ahead and join us. If perhaps you don't want to join us on camera, but you'd like to add to the show or comment, we also broadcast live Monday nights, 8 to 9 on YouTube. And then on that same channel, it runs on tape, delay, rerun, whatever. It's taped and it's there for the entire week until we put next week's on. And this is the address for that. So if you want to write that one down, that's how you watch it live on YouTube. How about that? Let me get rid of that scroll bar down there. All right, cool. All right. Anyway, let me get Andy back out here. And before I bring Susan out here, we always do a little conversation with Andy, see how things are going. How was your week?
Pretty good. Productive. Everything was very productive.
Yeah, nice set last night, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I'm really working on trying to get jokes and make them work.
Thank you for trying to write jokes and trying to make them work. What a concept.
Well, when I started, it was all about the characters. It was about characters, doing character juxtaposition. I never really had punchlines.
Right.
All my punchlines were basically a transition of a character. Put this character in a weird situation. Make it funny.
Exactly.
And people laugh at that. And
yeah,
now
you were the Red Buttons of
Red Buttons?
Not Red Buttons. Who was the guy? Red Skelton. That's what I'm thinking.
Red Skelton.
You were the Red Skelton of Detroit comedy. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of characters. A lot of impressions. I mean, me and Tony Hayes were like simpatico. Tony Hayes had great characters.
Did you guys ever do stuff together?
Yeah, we did a tour together. I opened for him. It was like it was perfect. I was like very clean. He was clean, but he had those really intense characters. My hair.
Oh, I know. I mean, all of his stuff was social commentary, so it was very intense. Yeah.
Well, he was really good.
Bud Friedman's wife loved him.
Yeah.
She wanted him to move to LA in the worst way. She says, I'll step out from behind my husband and I'll manage you,
Wow.
Yeah. Because she never got involved with the comedy. She was, you'd see her at the restaurant and she'd sit at Bud's table and she'd, be in discussions with comics and everything, but she never really got it. But then when she saw Tony Hayes, she goes, oh, this guy's going to make it.
Yeah.
And Tony was already in his 40s by then, or late 30s anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway.
So what do you when you say make it? If he's in his late 40s, you think he's over the hill?
It's hard to go to Hollywood and have anybody be interested in you if you're not under 25.
Ah, gotcha.
It's just it's. I mean, people do get discovered. Tim Allen didn't get his TV show till he was 37. So, you know what I mean? And that's only because he had like 2.5 hours of material, and they just, that became his first season.
And he had to finish parole.
Well, he was done. He was done. He was done with parole before the show started.
Yeah.
He couldn't work Canada, but you know he could still have a TV show in
You
Hollywood.
couldn't cross the border. Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I think when the agents are looking for someone with longevity that they can exploit or make money off of.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that they're always getting new people on their roster. Management companies and agencies. Agencies not so much as managers. Managers, the agents made 10% and the managers made 15%. And there's a reason for that. And that is you really there was higher turnover in managers than there were agencies, because once you got to the big agencies, there were only 2 or 3 that really mattered. I mean, like there was Omnipop was an agency out of the East Coast, and they were great if all you were going to do was stand-up rooms.
Uh-huh.
You know what? Let's talk about Sam would be a great person to have in this conversation.
Okay.
So I'm going to have Sue read her poem,
Okay.
and then we'll get Sam and Jason out here, and we'll chat about the biz of showbiz. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Here comes Susan.
These are my beautiful flowers from some of my children.
Oh, wow.
Happy Mother's Day, belated to everybody. Here's your poem. Actor Steve Buscemi was punched while taking a walk. Biden held back weapons from Israel and continued to talk. Maybe I want it like this.
I'll provide the facial.
I'll start over then.
I'll provide the facial expressions.
And Steve sitting back there with flowers and a balloon in front of my face. Here's your poem, Mr. Sweetman.
Thank you.
Actor Steve Buscemi was punched while taking a walk. Biden held back weapons from Israel and continued to talk. Trump trial about hush money kept going today. Cohen testified Trump promised to reimburse the pay. Stormy Daniels' testimony held salacious details. Ex-Pres glowered as she took the wind from his sails. That's your poem.
All right. Thank you, Susan.
Wow.
All right. So let's bring Andy back out here.
Cool.
And then we're going to add Sam to the mix from New York. He's been with us now for about 3.5 years now. Sam's been with us. Here's Sam Greenfield.
Tom McNegno can kiss my ass.
Who can?
Omnipop.
Oh, Omnipop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Sam.
But they were great. They were great.
If you just want to do stand-up, they were the ones.
Yeah, let me get Jason out here. Here's Jason Grant, ladies and gentlemen. All right, yeah, like I said, the agencies, some were good for stand-up, but the ones you wanted to go with who were they back then? Because they've changed since we were out there. Sam, did we lose Sam?
Wait a minute.
He's in there. There we go.
I wanted to get some light on.
What to say? Was he doing his show from the crypt or
Again?
But we had CAA and we had William Morris,
Right.
and there was one more, and I don't think
Clark, what was he?
I don't know. Dick Clark didn't handle comics, but yeah, Dick Clark had an agency too.
Well, guys, I got one practical question, and is at what point do you as performers know that okay, I can do this, I can make a living, money? I mean, not just your own skills, but
When you
see
start
the
getting
money.
paid.
Yeah.
Pretty much you looked at the people that had quit their day job, which is why you hear this phrase, don't quit your day job. There was actually people had day jobs that they quit. Now, nobody quits their day job anymore. Comedy is like a side hustle or something. They look at comedy the same way they look at Uber and DoorDash, That's like,
It's like a hobby.
Exactly.
Oh.
But anyway, so what you did was you looked around, and if you thought you were as funny as the people that were working without having a day job, you left. Now, I got it advanced because I was working a job that I wasn't planning on leaving, and I got laid off. So I pretty much used that time of unemployment to basically build up my calendar.
When I started doing comedy, it was 1981, and I went to see a show at the comic strip in New
Right.
York on the Upper East Side, and it was a Saturday night, and it was Mike Egan, D.F. Sweedler, and I can't remember who else, but I'm watching them, and I said to myself, and I had never done stand-up, never, and I said, if these guys are making people laugh, I could make a living.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. So I went to an open mic and I killed. And then the next week I went back to the open mic, and the MC was Roger Mersick, who might be the worst person to work with in comedy, because he made Dave Chappelle look like he went short. Okay. And and I'm sorry, it wasn't him. It was a guy named Ed Wilczynski who was the MC. But Mercick just went on and on and on, and knew what he was doing. He knew he was screwing people out of their stage time, and didn't care. And he is still doing stand up. And
Is
the
he
last time I worked with him, now you got to remember, he was doing this longer than me.
Right.
The last time I worked with him had to be 12 years ago.
Okay.
And we were in Louisville, and he was my middle. And I thought to myself, at this stage in my career, if I was him and I was middling, I'd quit.
Wow.
I mean, this was not when it was a side hustle.
Yeah.
I'd quit. I really
always,
would.
I always knew Roger as a headliner. He did headline though some, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. But he kind of yanked himself out of the business, Hit it, boys. He kind of yanked himself out of the business. I mean, here's my favorite story about Mersick. He calls Rick Messina. For those of you guys who don't know, Rick Messina manages Tim Allen, among other people.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey. And he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
And what I would do is you'd call him and, hi, this is Rick. I'm not here. Leave a message. Hi, over and over. And so when you finally get him, this is my philosophy. When you finally get him on the phone, I wouldn't say anything but, hey, Rick, how you doing? Listen, I wanted to talk to you about, just get to the business. Don't mention the fact you've called him 50 times. He's busy. Okay. You're not his top priority. Just get to the point. So Mersick calls him. I love this story. And he says to Mersick says to him, hey, Rick, I want to tell you something. I'm looking at my phone bill. This is when we had phone bills. I'm looking at my phone bill. I'm looking at my phone bill. And I've called you 37 goddamn times, and you have not called back. The fuck is going on? Click.
Yeah.
Just hung up on him. And it calls me. He goes, you know what that son of a bitch did? Blah, blah, blah. I said, why didn't you just get from him what you wanted to get from him?
Yeah.
He's not managing you. Why would he give a shit what you want?
Because a lot
a blood
of people,
transfusion, just get to the point.
a lot of people just don't have that clarity of thought.
I never understood it. I mean, I wasn't thrilled I had to keep calling him back, but he wasn't my manager. He owed me nothing.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I know. There was a time when Roger Mersick probably thought he was all that.
I heard you.
He was kicking butt there. Back in the 80s, as I recall.
He was on the cover of the Washington Post Sunday magazine.
Nice.
Which was a big deal back then.
Sure. Any city magazine, that'd be a big deal. Yeah.
See, people, there were these things that were printed on paper. It was called magazines. It would be kind of glossy and fun to hold.
The two hottest comics in DC were him and a guy named Jim Tam.
I never knew him.
And Jim Tam played accordion. He was very funny, by the way, but he would play accordion, and he did a funny joke about. He said Jimi Hendrix on accordion, Foxy Lady of Spain.
That's good. I like that.
No, he was very funny, but he was like, I don't know if you've ever. Well, you have kids. What's your name again? Mark? Yeah. You have kids. You have kids. And you know what it's like. You ever go to one of those kids shows like, hi, kids, it's me, Uncle Boofy. And
yeah. We had a shitload of those in Detroit.
Yeah, those guys are miserable human beings. They hate their lives. They do.
Yes.
And so it's actually funny. It's like, hi, kids. Hey, do you taste something funny in your drink? So, so,
Oh
so,
dear.
so, so Jim was like that. And so I asked someone, now Jim may be retired now or dead. But I asked somebody, what's Jim doing now? He says, well, he plays like private parties and bar mitzvahs. I said, oh, okay, so he's in hell. He's got his accordion, and he's playing with a bunch of Jewish 13-year-olds who are yelling, you suck.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute hell.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Well-
I'll probably die in a rented clown outfit in the back of a burned out car somewhere. But at least I won't leave behind a questionable Polaroid collection like some of these other guys you're describing. So
Yeah, you won't
There's
be
that.
Gacy. You won't be Gacyized.
Yeah.
no. Although my brother, who will be in charge of my remains, will just be like, well, what do you mean the clown suit was rented? Well, can I get my deposit back? Well, can't you guys clean it? He had to do this on a Wednesday. I mean, it's all the important things that you worry about when you find out your sibling is gone. That'll be him. Although
Who's got the high pitched feedback?
That is a. Do you hear like a beep, beep, beep?
Yeah.
That's an emergency truck outside.
Oh, okay. So that's a New York City sound.
And I would like to tell them to stop, but you know how cops and guns are. So
no, wait, we accept New York City sounds from New York.
It stopped.
If it was from somewhere else, we're not going to accept New York City.
It stopped.
All right.
What's up with Buscemi getting punched out? Come on, what?
I hear there's a lot of problems. Like there's a lot of random shit.
Rick Moranis got punched out about a month and a half ago.
Yes.
Who
Wow.
punches Rick Moranis? I mean, come on, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Is this like
that's the thing.
TikTok or something?
They're picking on these little guys, Rick Moranis, Steve Buscemi. These are not big people. Sam, be careful out there.
That's why I don't go outside.
There you go.
I know. Is this a game on TikTok? Is this like
That would make sense if they were holding cameras and taking pictures of it. But these are just people the cameras that catch it are like security cameras from stores and stuff.
I mean, what's Yoko Ono doesn't even get a flesh wound, so I mean, it's not.
How come no one's ever punched her right after she sings?
Or right before?
No,
Yes,
nothing
security.
preemptive.
It has too much security,
Oh, by the way, speaking of TikTok, 11,100.
You see what I mean, Sam? You're going to be at 100,000 by the time this year's over.
You are kicking ass.
I mean, I can't wait for the election when we're going to do. I've decided we're going to do our first like on live stream election coverage update. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
You want to do
if
this?
Trump wins, I'll be doing it from Ottawa.
Yeah, where we live, where the three of us live, we're only about a 20-minute drive from getting out of the country. So
yeah, don't worry too. They're not going to let him win. It's not going to happen.
You know something? I would pay money if they rigged it. I would love it. Please, yes, rig the election so he loses.
Again,
please,
again,
yes,
again,
yes,
again.
That's fine.
No.
The other one was rigged. Absolutely. Right. And when Hillary Clinton got more votes than him, that was rigged. Stop it.
It was.
Stop it. Stop it. And Vince Foster was murdered.
John Kerry
Stop
demanding, saying that the voting booths were rigged in Ohio in 2004. Remember that one? Of course I do. And let's not forget that Al Gore complaining that we stopped counting the votes in Florida because what's his name won.
You mean when Tom DeLay
or...
sent back 800 redneck goons?
You mean Al Gore, the guy who gave up for the?
What else would you send into Florida, Sam? That's exactly what I mean.
My point is, you didn't have to send them; they were there.
I know.
Look,
it's like the further north you go, the further south you get. That's what they say about Florida.
To pull off a conspiracy to rig an election, a national election this big, you have to have at least 12 people. That's not even one. That's not even one for every 4 states. 12 people, and you can't get 12 fucking people in this country to keep their mouths shut for anything.
Do you remember President Tilden?
Samuel B. Tilden?
But he doesn't ring any bells. You know why? Because Rutherford B. Hayes, because again, I'm all about current events. Rutherford B. Hayes and the Republican machine engineered his election, And the Democrats went along with it because the little corrupt bargain at that time was that, okay, we'll let you have it, but you're going to end Reconstruction.
By the way, there's
they
a
said,
school here in New York named after Tilden.
yeah, well, but not President Tilden.
No.
No, I mean, 1960, when the Kennedy machine brilliantly outdoes the Nixon machine. Absolutely brilliant.
By the way,
so your team never did this? It's only our team that's done this?
Which leads me to this point. Do you know why Nixon never complained about that election?
Why?
Well, yeah.
Because he was doing the exact same thing in Southern Illinois.
Exactly. Exactly. They understood how the game was played.
Vote early and vote often.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, why do you think? And this time around, you're looking at RFK and what's her name, Jill Stein and Cornel West. How much you want to bet?
Does the worm get a vote?
There's a ton of Republican vote. There's a ton of Republican money being very quietly funneled into those campaigns.
Oh God.
Yes, the worm gets the vote.
Oh, okay.
Well, they don't have to funnel it for RFK. RFK is going to be taking votes from Trump.
Well, Trump he'll do. I think he'll do more to Biden, but he will take from both. Just like what's his name, the little guy back in '92,
Ross Perot,
who threw the campaign eventually to Clinton by and large. He took more from Bush, but he did take from Clinton. I mean, Clinton won 2 terms without ever winning a majority vote. But he crushed in the Electoral College. And then Vince Foster went out to lunch, and we know how that goes. And the one thing I want to know, the question I have is, how did Harambe get information on the Boeing security problems? I don't understand how that works.
Say that again, please.
How did Harambe get information on Boeing having problems?
Who's Harambe?
You have all these things on your wall inside your house.
You don't remember Harambe?
Harambe was a TV show in D.C.
Things going.
He was a gorilla that got shot back in 2015 because the kid got into the.
I remember that. Oh no, I know the one you're talking.
Yeah, that's like
was that the Cleveland Zoo? I think.
Yeah, it's like the kid tell Harambe what was going on.
You know what's amazing? One of those kids was it 2015. One of those kids was Christy Nome.
Well, that explains a lot.
Or was she the one behind the scope there taking Harambe out?
By the way, you heard about this guy who was Trump's body man? What he's probably going to go to jail for?
Oh, now what?
He's been going up to homeless people and saying, you really look sad. Here's $5, and he gave them counterfeit money. So they would go in and spend the money and then get arrested. And they asked him why he would do this. He says, well, I'm trying to clean up the neighborhood.
Oh.
But what he doesn't realize is the distribution of counterfeit money is a felony.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a huge felony.
But he was Trump's body man.
$1, $100, it doesn't matter.
And he got fired because he had a a gambling addiction.
No. Good old gambling addiction. There's your
nothing like it.
There's your get out of jail free card.
If it was good enough for Gordon McRae, it was good enough for how's that for a name that'll grab the kids?
Yeah, we're going for that younger audience with names like.
Hey, yeah, we've already had Rutherford B.
Well, if you want to go for the younger kids, you go for Sheila McRae. Remember what she did? She was Audrey Meadows' replacement for Jackie Gleason.
Oh, that's right.
What happened to Audrey Meadows? She pissed him off?
She just quit. She said no hard feelings.
She didn't want to
because the character of Alice was gone.
Okay.
And he said to her, he said, listen, if you want to continue with the show, she said, no, I've had a nice long run and I'm very grateful. They were crazy. That cast loved each other. It wasn't like I Love Lucy with Fred and Ethel. They really liked each other.
Oh yeah, well, Fred and Ethel, yeah, they were at the dagger's point the whole.
But let's face it, does William Frawley look like a guy you'd say he seems amiable?
Well, and can you imagine anyone having in their mind at all that William Frawley might be on top of you in the midst of connubial bliss?
If he was dropped from a scaffolding.
Yeah, William Frawley though. I mean, what was his background? Where did he come from?
He was a character actor. He was in a lot of like those.
Okay. All right.
There was a movie with Humphrey Bogart called All Through the Night where he played a gambler named Gloves. That was his nickname, Gloves.
Ah,
And the movie is so old. God, I love this story. That Jackie Gleason's name in the cast was Jackie C. Gleason.
Wow.
But it was
Wow.
Jackie Gleason, Phil Silvers. But it was like,
Good.
gee, Gloves, what are we going to do? You know, that kind of thing.
Am I hallucinating, or did I remember that Henry Fonda and Lucille Ball were in a movie together?
Yes.
yeah.
And it was not a
They're
comedy.
mine, ours.
Yours, mine, and
Yours,
ours.
mine, ours.
Yours, mine, and ours.
No, I'm talking about one way before that, when she played like this dying starlet, and that this was like when early. I think it was Henry
Oh,
Fonda.
that was called Just Mine.
Is that it?
No.
Sam, you
Just
got
fine.
me. Fuck, I gotta go.
No, I remember that. I don't know if it was Henry Fonda. I think it was actually
Wasn't it Henry Fonda? She plays like the dying dancer or something like that back when women dying was a big thing in movies.
well, Henry Fonda was in the movie with the lesbian.
Rosalind Russell.
No, the
No,
one that was,
no.
the one that was in Connecticut.
Yankee.
Christmas in Connecticut.
Oh, I was about to say it wasn't Katharine Hepburn, because she knows we know she like Tracy.
The one was with Frederick Murray and
He did three movies with Lucille Ball.
Okay, name them.
I Dream Too Much, The Big
All right.
Street, and Yours, Mine, and Ours.
I think The Big Street might be the one that I'm thinking of.
1942. Let me see.
Yeah.
Get here.
You know, for half a minute there, I thought Mark actually knew this without looking, and I went, "God damn, that's good."
I got
No, that's
Google.
fine. That's fine that you had to look it up. I'm
Google
going,
right. I got
son
Google.
of a bitch.
Here you go. Big Street, tearjerker about a surly gangster mall who is worshipped from afar by a kitchen porter. Timid little Pinks has always held a torch for brash Gloria, who returns the feeling after he saves her dog's life. However, they're closer after Gloria's jealous gangster boyfriend attacks her.
So let me see then. In 1950, when they're launching the TV series, Lucille Ball would have been the bigger star than Desi Arnaz, right? Is that correct?
Then
Lucille Ball was the
big deal. He was a big deal, just not in movies.
But I mean, so she
Then
was the
Desi
bigger
Arnaz.
star than Desi Arnaz, or
Desi Arnaz was a big deal back then. He was a band leader. He was a band leader.
Desi Arnaz. I think we've talked about this, but Desi Arnaz revolutionized television.
Yes, he did.
Desi
He got
Arnaz was the first person to have a three-camera shoot on his show. Desi Arnaz was the first person to have a spokesperson, the star of the show, be a commercial spokesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And Desi Arnaz.
Can we keep the tapes of this? We're just going to throw them out anyway. Go ahead, keep the tapes. So
Absolutely. He went to RKO. He said, "Do you mind if we keep these?" Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. We're not going to do anything with them.
And the next sound you heard was the rope stretching around the RKO executive's neck, who said, "Yeah, it's okay."
Well, they ended up buying RKO. That's what they became.
That
Desi
became
Lou.
Desi Lou.
Yeah,
which became
Talked about this
Paramount.
last week.
And the thought that it was Lucille Ball who greenlit Star Trek and Mission Impossible.
They did a show. They did a movie together called The Long, Long, Long Trailer.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I saw that one.
I saw it as a kid, and I saw it on acid as a teenager.
And there was a very funny thing. There was a very funny thing in the beginning. They're newlywed couple, right? So he gets ready to go to work, and he gives his wife this Lucille Ball this big kiss, right? And then a few months later, he comes outside and he gives her a peck on the cheek, right? And then a few months later, he walks out. She's not there, and the camera goes up to the bedroom, and she's. That was a nice touch.
Oh, I've over the weekend, I indulged myself in an 1.5 hour long documentary on how much Robert Reed was hated on the set of the Brady Bunch.
Was he really?
I hadn't heard that.
Oh my God, was he hated? I love the fact also, and this, okay, to all our audience out there, I can say this because I'm the token queer. No, excuse me, I'm the token fag on the set here. Robert.
You can only say fag because we're a bunch of men. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Exactly. Well, I can't stand that. I can't stand it. If someone calls me gay or fag, I'm fine.
And thank God we're manly men.
Yeah,
you call me a queer, I will punch your fucking
Yes.
lights out. You will not like my response at all. I'm dead serious. I could not be. Kidding.
Did I
And
ever, did I ever
Robert
tell you
Reed
guys? Did I
died
ever
of
tell you guys this?
AIDS and ass cancer. It's like, well, we know who the bottom is. You know, he was hated on the. He was hated, and you know who they were considering for that role
I'll
before
be
he
right
got
back.
it was Gene Hackman.
Wow.
Really? For
Yes,
Brady
but
Bunch?
Yes, but they didn't cast Hackman because all he had was that one scene or that one couple of scenes from Bonnie and Clyde, and they weren't sure. And so Robert Reed is watching Gene Hackman go on to French Connection because
Yeah.
Robert Reed he'd been on the Defenders for a few years. He, and then he's seeing this show that he's
Gene
on.
Hackman. Gene Hackman wasn't in Roots, so. Yeah.
No. Well, that's the thing. Robert Reed has a good career after the Brady Bunch.
Right.
But apparently, books have been written about what a miserable queen this dude was
Oh, great.
on the set. I mean, who knew? They all look so damn happy.
Have I ever told you the story about my brother out in Hollywood? My gay brother. He's since passed, but Sue and I were at the apartment one time, and his boyfriend comes in. They were roommates at the time. He didn't always live with his lovers all the time, but this guy, they lived together. And Bruce comes in and goes, "Oh, I swear I am going to quit on that guy at the worst time to make it horrible for him." My brother Paul, he goes, "Oh, don't be a fag." And Bruce took offense. Took offense. He goes, "Well, we are gay." He goes, "Yeah, we're gay. We're not fags." If I wanted, it's true. If I wanted someone effeminate, I'd be with a girl.
Exactly.
There was a club in D.C. called Feathers, and it was a gay nightclub.
No
doubt.
And
the guy who owned it saw me perform at Garvin's, and he said, "I'd love to have you come to my club and perform." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "It's a gay club." I said, "Okay." He said, "You're not worried?" I said, "About what? Being slapped to death?" No. No, I'll be okay. And so I go, and it's me and a guy, and the guy I mentioned earlier, Ed Wilzinski, and 4 drag acts.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
And they could not, it was a wonderful night. It was so much fun. But the thing that was funny was, if you've ever been to a drag show, they get tips from the audience. They pick up $5. People hand them money.
Yeah.
And so Ed goes on stage, and Ed, it was a good-looking guy. Yes.
Tips at drag shows are mandatory.
My daughter just told me that tips at drag shows are mandatory.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know how much that makeup costs?
Huh?
Have you tried being exfoliated? That is not free.
You know what he said? Have you ever been exfoliated? That is not free.
You guys ever watch Kinky Boo?
He's a gay guy in our group.
Oh, that's fun. I'm gay too.
Congrats. Although she probably has better fashion sense than I do. I mean, I dress like a homeless janitor. So
He said he dresses like a homeless janitor.
So,
I dress
you
like
know,
a
it's
14-year-old boy.
No, you dress nicely.
Myself.
Oh, okay.
well, at least a 14-year-old boy would have a nice haircut. I mean,
Well, there's that.
I mean, we could ask Lindsey Graham. He's more of an expert than I am. But
Hello.
Lady G.
Lady G. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Somebody take me to my fainting couch.
I bet he does. I bet he does know. I bet he doesn't know how to clean up internet history either. Yeah. So.
No. Well,
The worst performance by any politician this year, and please disagree if you do, is Tim Scott.
No.
Oh my God, the guy with the Canadian girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what they call her in Canada? A guy.
Yeah. About to say Frank Smith. Yeah. Yeah. About to say
Frank on roll.
He's dating an avatar.
At this point, I don't get why he just doesn't come out. I don't get why Lindsey Graham just doesn't, come out and say it. What do you say? I mean, you're not hiding anything.
I don't know about Lindsey Graham, but I think with Scott, there might be some backlash from his community.
Oh,
I don't know. I think, again, I think black people are more than sophisticated enough they can handle a gay man. I mean, they loved Luther Vandross, didn't they? Luther never tried to pretend to be anything other than what he was, and he got a lot of straight men laid.
I don't think
So
I don't think the general public. I knew he was gay, but I don't think
yeah.
the general public knew.
What
About-
about Luther?
Yeah, I don't.
How could you not? Well, I get
Think
look,
about it. Now you're look, you're
yeah.
gay, and you know that world. But
Oh
if and
well,
I'm in New York, and I know
I've
that
gone
world.
around. Yeah, I've gone around the world a
But
few
if
times.
if you're not in that world, my favorite thing about Luther was when he worked with Anita Baker. He hated her so much he literally would not perform literally on the same stage surface as her. He had
Wow.
them remove the stage.
That is so gay. I
Yeah,
want.
and he said
That is so
to
gay.
the stagehands, he said, I know this is extra work. I will absolutely give you guys a nice tip for that. I really appreciate it. But you have to, and he went like this. I know one of the stagehands. He goes, I'm asking you please to remove her stage.
Yeah, about to say I don't want to. I'm not going to trod the same ground as
I
that
am not
cloven hoofed heifer.
and
Yeah.
by the way, she was, if you think he's the only person who felt that way about her, Barbara saw her do a show, and she stopped in the middle of the show to yell at the band.
Oh dear.
Oh wow.
And
You
you
see,
know what
I
I
could-
thought when I heard about that? What better way to get the band to play well for you than by stopping the show
You know,
and chewing them out? And when I
you-
say chewing them out, of course,
yeah. Well,
I-
what's his name?
Well, the-
James Brown used to be really hard on his band.
Oh,
well,
It's
James
Rich
Brown
Rich.
would fine you if your shoes weren't shined.
oh
Yeah,
shit,
I mean-
Buddy Rich, right?
Yes.
Buddy Rich would just be screaming at his
The
players.
yeah,
greatest
well-
recording I've ever heard in my
Oh, we
life.
all know it. We know what it is. Buddy's
Oh,
dad.
God. Buddy Rich, he's yelling at the band. They're on the tour
On
bus.
the bus.
And he
Yeah.
goes, "You sons of bitches, get a haircut. You look like the House of David baseball team."
But
That's-
there's a
Once
clip
again,
of
a
him.
line that captures our youthful demographic.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
all about the youthful demographic. I mean,
Actually, you know what? We should probably bring back the House of David baseball team.
It was religious, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, it was more about just having a baseball team that had a gimmick.
There was a group
Back in the
DC.
grandstand.
Speaking of Anita Baker,
What's that?
Say
not
again.
again. Not again. Anita Baker leaves a stadium full of angry fans in Atlanta and on Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, this last weekend she did that?
Yes.
What does it say again, Andy?
It says not again. Anita Baker leaves a stadium full of angry fans in Atlanta and on a Mother's Day weekend.
This was yesterday.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You got to admire consistency.
Yeah.
You know, you take someone like Nina Simone, who had demons. But, you know, the thing is, if you were watching a Nina Simone performance, you got to see a genius at work.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I can-
and you
I can
forgive them
put
all
up-
for that.
You can, yeah, exactly. Because, you know, you are a blessed person. You lived in a time of Nina Simone.
It's like Miles Davis.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
what you know, there was a guy in the audience with a Miles Davis. I'll never forget this. I wasn't there, but the guy goes, "Yeah, Miles," and Miles takes like this and clears his nose on the guy.
Oh,
Oh, God.
And 2 nights later, he's doing the same gig,
Yeah.
and the guy is in the front row again, and Miles looks at him, and the guy holds up a handkerchief like this.
oh, that's funny. That's
Well,
funny.
I told you the story about Miles Davis and John Coltrane, right?
I think so.
They asked John Coltrane, why do you go off on these improvisational riffs? How does that happen? How do you make that happen? And he goes, you know, I hear a melody and I just start taking it somewhere and I can't stop. And Miles Davis goes, why don't you try taking the horn out of your fucking mouth?
Well, you know, John Lee Hooker, when he came back from his first tour of England, where he was backed up by the Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
by the Animals, by the Yardbirds, he comes back and is talking to his friends in Detroit and says, these white boys in England, they want to play the blues so badly, and they do. And it's
Do you know that this is for the local guys? You know the Apex Lounge is still standing
really,
over on Oakland Avenue? Yeah, where he started.
you know, he was up in Newcastle with Eric Burden and the Animals,
Uh huh.
and in a club so rough that he was like, he said, this is nothing. Detroit is nothing compared to this. He'd never seen what a bunch of drunken, 1,000 drunken northern English teenagers on a Sunday night or Saturday night.
When the Go-Go's toured England, when it was the punk era, when they were punk, they said they were terrified.
Yes. I mean, we think of England in sort of that upper class.
Not at all. Not me.
We forget about
that
lower
we all
class.
know better.
But
the leader of the band that you talked about, what's her name?
Oh God! Oh,
who? The Go-Go's?
The Go-Go's.
The Go-Go's.
Belinda Carlisle.
Belinda
Carlisle in her book wrote that when they went and did their productions or performances in England, they would spit on them.
Yeah.
As part of the operation. So they were playing along, and people are coming up and spitting on them as they're playing.
They took punk seriously over in Britain.
Yeah, they did.
Apparently, they did.
But not hygiene.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you're ever on Oakland Avenue, north of East Grand Boulevard, check it out. The Apex Lounge, where John Lee Hooker started. Well, he didn't. He started in the South, but I mean in Detroit. That's where he. And you know why he started there? I read this in some magazine. He started there because they allowed him to wash some dishes for a little bit of pocket change before he started playing. Yeah, he would come out, take his apron and off, throw his towel aside, grab his.
Talk about your side hustle.
Grab his. No kidding. But anyway, you look around that whole corner there. All the rest of the buildings have come down, but probably because some of its historic significance. It
may be a landmark.
They haven't taken that out. And you know what else? Another building, the United Recording Studios on 2nd Avenue. They widened Interstate 94 there.
Yeah.
And if you go by there, you'll see the corner of United Sound Studios is still standing because the historians saved that from the wrecking ball. The highway department, they don't care.
In 1967, there was a place in D.C. called the Childe Harold, and they had they had a bar downstairs, and upstairs they had a great restaurant, and to the side they had a little nightclub. And it wasn't little, but they had a nightclub. And I was there for this. There was a guy sitting there who just looked so out of place. And everybody's wearing bell-bottom jeans. It was the 60s. And, and tie-dye shirts and everything. And this guy was in a suit. And he goes up to the guy running the show, the manager of the club. And he goes, "Is Mr. Crudup here? Arthur Big Boy Crudup." And he goes, "Yeah, he's going to go on in about half an hour." He says, "Could I speak to him just before he goes on, please? I've been trying to reach him for 1 year." So the first thing the manager thought was he's going to get served with a subpoena.
Yeah.
And he says, "What's it about?" He says, "It's good news." So he brings Arthur Big Boy Crudup over, and he says, "Mr. Crudup," and I don't know the guy's name. My name is Dave Jones. And we've been trying to reach you for 5 years. You've written some songs that are copyrighted that you never were paid for. And we've been holding this money for you, but we couldn't find you. And now we found you. And I want to give you this check. Now, if you don't want the check today, I will come by where you're staying and I will take you to whatever bank you want and you can deposit it there. Which would you rather? And Arthur Big Boy Crudup said, "Let me see the check." And he showed him the check, and Arthur Big Boy Crudup broke down and cried.
Yeah.
Now, remember, this is 1967.
Yeah.
It was $280,000.
Oh, my God. Dang.
So he said, could you pick me up tomorrow? He said, he said, "I'll not only pick you up, I'll take you to breakfast. What do you think of that?" So he took him to breakfast, and they deposited the check. And he said, "What are you going to do now?" And he said, "Retire."
Well, when you hear, people like Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, guys who started the whole rock and roll thing,
right,
and getting paid nothing, just Red Fox, another guy who was getting paid $100 to do a comedy album. By the way, that's still being played. You can go online. It's still out there. And he'd get $50, $100 for something like that, and get nothing. And again, Red Fox is the one that kind of bothers me because he helped out a lot of comedians. You guys obviously are probably a little more in tune with it, but what was it? The hip nip, Pat, the Japanese guy, Pat something or other. He was in the Karate Kid.
Pat Morita.
Pat Murray.
Yeah, he was talking about how he needed $4,000 in the late '60s to get this house that he and his wife wanted to buy, and Red Fox had a club, and Red just signs him a check out and says, "Listen, I don't care about getting paid back. Let's not even talk about that. All I want you to do is when someone else comes along and you have a chance to help them out, you help them out because you're going to make it."
Let me tell you a happy story about Red Fox. Red Fox had a nightclub in
Yeah.
LA, and it was going under. And he was on the Joey Bishop show, and he was talking about, we're probably going to have to close it up, And Tony Martin, who was a very famous singer at the time, said, "When's the next show?" And he goes, "Well, it's tomorrow night." He says, "Well, how if I appear for nothing?
Yeah.
How about if I show up and I appear for nothing?
Yeah.
And you tell everyone I'm going to be there?" And Red Fox said, "Well, that would be great." And then Joey Bishop said, "Regis can fill in for me. How about if I show up?" And they got all these big names, these big guys in the band. The Joey, and they all showed up, and they all appeared, and it kept him going. And he broke down. Started crying.
Yeah.
Of course, he also is one of the great anecdotes of my lifetime. I think I told you this. He was appearing at the Sands Hotel in Vegas, and there were 5 people in the audience, and they strike up. And by the way, having appeared in Vegas, that's not out of the ordinary for a weekday show.
Okay.
Anyway, so they strike up the Sanford and Son theme, da 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 da. Right. And the announcer goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Red Fox," and he comes out smoking his L&Ms, and he goes, "5 people? I ain't working for 5 people. Fuck you." Walks off the stage. The guy goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Red Fox." Like he had done an hour.
Yeah, they played the theme song. They played him off with the theme song too. That was the fun.
Well, and the other thing was, he came to Garvin's one night just to hang out, and he had these 5 bodyguards, who were all these short little black guys with jerry curls, and they're looking under the table. I said, "What are you looking for?" "Explosives." And this woman said, "Son, you're in a comedy club, for Christ's sake." She said the only people with bombs are on stage. And so he was with probably his last wife, who was Korean, and she was, I don't know, he was 60 something, she was like 30 something.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make a conversation with him because it's Red Fox, and so I go, "So how did you two meet?" He goes, "I opened my wallet and there she was."
Hey, there's a great YouTube video of him with Muhammad Ali, and they're taking questions from the audience. I don't know if he interviewed him before that, but the clip on YouTube is just the 2 of them taking questions from the audience, and it looked like it was when Muhammad Ali was still fighting, so he was still kind of clear-headed and everything. It's a great video on YouTube.
Boy, if you want to have some fun with a little Muhammad Ali, go get him in the first and second Sonny Liston fights, and they are just absolutely brutal. And the thing is, Sonny Liston was a hell of a fighter. He was a great champion, but Muhammad Ali took him apart, limb from fucking limb.
Well, it's funny. Before the first fight, Sonny Liston is shooting dice, and Ali comes by to screw with him, and he says, "Oh, look, snake eyes. That's what you're going to look like tomorrow. Snake eyes, And then he rolled boxcars. "That's where they're going to find you, boxcars." Sonny Liston looks at him and goes, "Get the fuck out of here." And Ali left, and they said, "Why did you leave?" He said, "I'm not a street fighter. He'd kill me."
Yeah.
He said, "In a street fight," he said, "Sonny Liston would tear my ass apart."
Yep.
He said, "In the ring, there's a ref. There's no referee when he's got you down on the ground and punching your head in and knocking your eyeballs out. No."
Well, that was also right when the whole Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali thing was just blowing up.
Yeah, that's right.
People were still calling him Cassius, and he was, insisting that his name was Muhammad Ali.
Well, the 2 people who made that terrible mistake were Ernie Terrell, whose sister Jean sang with the Supremes, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't call him Ali. And if you ever saw the movie Ali with Will Smith, who was brilliant in that movie, brilliant, but he kept hitting him. Terrell, and he's going,
Yep.
"What's my name, motherfucker?
What's my name?
Bam!
What
What's my
what
you know?"
is my
But
name?
the other one who he tortured was Floyd Patterson.
Yes.
Because he said, that's what his mama calls him. And if you invoke the guy's mother, you're in for a long night. So,
Yeah.
so Floyd Patterson should not have been a heavyweight. He should have been a light heavyweight. He was like 175 pounds, 180 pounds.
Right.
And Ali was 220 and faster than him at 220.
And the best
and he had a
counterpuncher
bad
ever.
back. And Floyd Patterson had a
Really?
bad back. And
Oh.
Ali would beat him senseless until 10 seconds before the fight, the round, and then literally physically back off. So he would have to come out for the next round.
Right.
And he did this every round. And Patterson could barely get up. And Ali's across the ring going, "It's all right, quit, because I'm going to kick your ass again. Quit. And I never understood why he got up. He literally was telling me, "It's okay, quit. There's no harm in quitting. I'm going to beat the shit out of you."
It's that's what the corner man is. I mean, the first Ali Liston fight, it's Liston's corner that literally throws the towel. It's like they stopped the fight. Sonny still wanted to come out, and they're like, "No, you can't do it. No,
well,
I'm not gonna let you go out there and get hurt."
You just spoke longer than that first fight took with Floyd Patterson.
The second fight is the one where he took him down, like in the first round. Where I mean, you could tell this must have been a fight for a payday, or someone had.
No, I'm
money.
going to tell you something. I have seen that punch from a different angle, and he absolutely hit him right on the button, and he knocked him on his ass. It was not a phantom punch. It was not.
Right.
Everybody says it was, and listening, if he threw it by getting punched. It was not. No, it was not a fake punch. He hit him.
Well,
and you got to remember, you're getting hit by a guy who weighs 220 pounds.
Oh yeah, and you're getting hit by someone like Muhammad Ali, who could put your lights out. Again, the best counterpuncher to ever get in the ring.
It's like when my wife hits
George
me.
Foreman.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he let George Foreman punch himself out. George Foreman was dangerous. George Foreman was a killing machine.
The other thing about Foreman was, and Ali mentioned this, he said he telegraphs his punches. He comes from back here and brings it out. All of Ali's things were like at his waist, boom, boom, like that.
Right.
But his Foreman telegraphed his punches, and he did punch himself out because of the rope-a-dope.
Yeah, he was
Angelo Dundee loosened the turnstile buckles.
Oh, really?
So he could lean.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened. So he could lean back on the ropes.
Nice. Yeah. And
very creative strategy.
But to his credit, when Ali hit Foreman going down, he went like this to hit him again. He said, "No, he's going down. I'm not going to hit him again."
Yeah.
Because it was over.
And if you want to have some fun, the first Frazier Ali fight, where Joe Frazier literally was trying to kill Muhammad Ali. He'd been taunted so much by this dude.
And also because Frazier tried very hard to get Ali's license back for him.
Yes,
and Ali paid him back by calling him a fool, an Uncle Tom, a gorilla, all that stuff. And he forgave him at the end of their lives, but he hated him for that. Yes. I mean, he went to bat for him.
When they were older and going out and doing charities together, they were pretty good friends.
Well, by then, I mean, sometimes old rivalries have a way of smoothing themselves over a little bit.
Yeah, look at Martin and Lewis.
Yeah. They did appear one more time.
That was the most uncomfortable reunion I've ever seen in my life on that show.
Did Frank Sinatra do that?
That was Sinatra.
Right.
Got them
together. Come together, yeah.
And Dean Martin looked like he would rather be dropped into a boiling cauldron of oil.
I think that was after Dean's son had died.
Yeah, he felt that destroyed him.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see the documentary? Did you ever see the documentary Disney did on Martin and Lewis?
No.
Oh man, they have some shots of them like waving out their hotel windows, and
they were bigger than the Beatles.
They had crowds,
thousands
that you would not believe. They just packed the street, held up traffic. I mean, it was just they were huge.
And this is Midtown Manhattan.
Yes,
it was tens of thousands of people.
Yo, so you've seen that footage then?
I have.
Yeah. It is stunning. I mean, how big...
there was I had this tape. I don't know if I still have it, but it's Dean Martin saying, "You're about to see the most gregarious," and instead of saying gregarious, he said egregious, and he just screwed up the word, and Jerry Lewis goes, "Egregious, you greaseball piece of shit! What the hell?" And I'm going, and everybody's laughing, except Dean.
Except Dean, yeah.
because he knew he meant it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Jerry Lewis, he left his children nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. No, and then half of his kids didn't come to the funeral.
Oh, and the
Because-
other thing was when his last wife, was pregnant. He
Right.
went on the Arsenio Hall show and he says, "How old are you? 66 years old, and you're having a kid?" And he goes, "Yeah. It was artificial insemination. You're not fooling anybody."
Ooh.
But he tried to act like it was hit. It was
Right.
like from the Bible, "From my seed you shall bear this child."
Well,
I mean,
Did
it might
you
have
see
been his seed, but
the
it was
last-
brought to you by Martha Stewart Plant Life.
The last thing he ever did as an entertainer was Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Did you ever see that episode?
Yeah,
He was
so,
very gentle in that too.
Well, he was near the end.
92.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of which, Seinfeld does a commencement over the weekend,
At
and
Duke.
people walk out on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it was only like about 2 or 3 dozen. It was
It was enough to make, and well, again, first off, 2 or 3 dozen is noticeable at a graduation like Duke. And why? Why are you turning your back on, of all people, Jerry Seinfeld?
My feeling is, and I
mean,
have
I know
no idea
why,
if I'm
but-
right about this, but my feeling is they weren't students. There's a lot of people in these groups that are
Infiltrators?
what is the word I'm thinking of?
actors.
Agitators.
Agitators. Yeah,
Outside
they're not
agitators?
students.
Agitators.
I think that if your parents are there and you're sitting there for the graduation, you ain't getting up and walking out.
Hell
You're just
no.
not,
And
unless your father's Jerry Rubin.
and
You're not.
I heard the things that Seinfeld said, and there's sort of like what you would expect from a commencement speech, but it was a nice speech, well delivered. I mean, what else?
That's
do you
why I
expect from
think
Jerry?
they were agitators.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, Jason,
Well,
but
he was a
I don't know.
supporter of Israel. So it's
Well,
he's,
that and also he's Jewish, and right now that was the thing that just bottom line.
Yeah.
He could sit there and say that he's not a fan of Israel. It wouldn't matter to these folks.
maybe
are
they
so
saw the movie
deranged.
Defrosted.
true.
Okay, I
Now,
can forgive them
About
for that.
Defrosted, what do you guys think about it? Have you seen the movie?
I
we
have
got-
not, but I will not
we
pay
got-
money to see it.
We got two,
Because
two and
I
a half-
heard it sucked.
we got 2.5 minutes.
Well,
We got 2.5 minutes left. Let's get into
The
the
first-
next week or
the
unfrosted.
first half,
Okay.
not
Next-
so good. The second half picks up. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
All right.
What's up, Mark? We got 2 minutes. Roll with it, dude.
Well, I'm gonna do my musical. I'm gonna start my music off slow, like I always do, and then roll
Right.
into. You know what the deal is. So
All right, indeed.
it'll be
Sorry, guys. I was on the track last night. They're paying me $40 an hour, and will I whore myself for that kind of money? And the answer is yes.
Do you need someone to wave the flag?
Actually,
Wave
Jason.
the fag? No, I wave the fag every flag.
Hi.
Never mind.
Actually,
Fellas,
except for the last 2 comics last night, we had a pretty good show.
you probably had a great show. You always have a great
But there
show.
are only 3 comics. Come on, tell the truth.
No.
Well, no,
Wait a minute,
sometimes
the
there's
last
a lot
2
of them
comics?
there, but
That
Yeah.
that young kid is great.
You liked Mason?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
think
like
he's good.
Oh, okay.
All right, real
I
quick,
think
real quick.
He's got a good delivery. I think he's going to get pretty good. Actually.
Yeah.
Jane Fonda said a young actor, I want you to guess who it is the best young actor she's ever worked with and finds him amazing.
John Holmes.
Adam Driver.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
I don't think he's bad. I don't think
I
he's
don't
bad.
think he's young.
I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's young, but I don't think he's attractive either. I don't understand why we get Nicolas Cage. And Adam
Maybe
Driver.
her taste is in her ass. Who knows what she knows? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Anyway, we got less than a minute left. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. These guys are here every Monday night at 8 o'clock on our YouTube channel here, The Off Night. If you'd like to join us, let me know, or just come in sometime.
Next week,
out
Michael Cohen's Wit and Wisdom.
there. All right, we'll get Michael Cohen. Let's get him out here. All right, that'll do it.
I'm very happy to be here with Mr.
Stormy
Trump.
Daniels will be our guest.
We didn't
Okay.
talk
Oh,
about.
if only.
Yeah, we did not. We did not talk about the comic that died, James Gregory.
Who died?
James Gregory died. We'll talk about him next.
Yes,
week.
he did. Yes, he did.
Alright.
78
Oh.
years old.
Yeah, we'll talk about James next week. So come on, join us. We'll be back here. You guys stick around. We'll be on after we get off here. Good night, everybody.
Ciao for now.